All right, guys, the key focus of this one is changing fractional exponents into radicals and going back and forth. So keep that in mind. So here we go. As I'm looking at these, I want to first talk about the product property and how I can rewrite these. So first, when I'm going, and I know power to a power, this is going to be 5 to the negative 10. I could then write that as 1 over 5 to the 10th. Now here, it's asking me to write it 0 times. Well, really, I know anything to the 0 power is 1. I'm going to leave the last one for you. Now, I know there are 3 exponents, but I know that you can handle it as well. So we're now going to look at how we can use this to simplify things. So as I start looking at 16 to the 1/2 squared, first of all, want to think about what else could get us the squared yielding equals 16. So I know that I have here this 1/2 and the 2, that they're going to multiply to 1. Another way we can look at it is 16. Take the square root of raising the 16 to the 1/2 power is what we're going to be looking at now. So 16 could instead be 4 squared. If I looked at 4 squared, would also make it 16. I want to make it something even more familiar. So as I go through, I could say that that 4 could just be 2 squared. So what we're learning here is this exponent right here of the 1/2 is equivalent to the square root. So looking at these 3 now, the square root is the same thing as this 1/2 power here. So this becomes the square root of 25, which is 5. This becomes the square root of 81, which is 9. You are going to figure out that third one. Focus in right on this rule here that it's going to work for any root. That if I have any kind of fractional exponent, that is that root. 1 over 3 becomes the cube root. 1 over 4 becomes the 4th root. All right, so rewrite each of the following using roots instead of fractional exponents. So as I look through here, this is going to be 125 to the cube root. Next, we have here, we've got 2 things going on. We have the fraction, which means the root, and then we have the negative, which means it's in the denominator, okay? So keep working on that. So there's 2 more for you to try. Example 5, it's really looking at breaking up what's going on here. So find the missing blank and then evaluate. So if I have 4 to the 3 over 2, we have the top of the fraction, the numerator, and the bottom of the fraction, the denominator. What you're going to break it up into is that I know what's in the top is the power. People in power are on top. The root, think of roots in a plant. They are in the ground, so they are low. So as I change this one right here, it becomes 4 to the 3rd to the 1/2. So now 4 to the 3rd is 64. And then 64 to the 1/2 is the same thing as saying the square root of 64, which is 8. And you can go the other way as well here, that you're going to have 4 to the 1/2 to the 3rd. So 4 to the 1/2 is the radical 4, which is 2, and then 2 cubed is 8. Slide this down. Okay, you can verify this using your calculator, and now I want you to think about how you would break up D, okay? Looking at it, you're going to have 2 separate things. You have the power of 2 and the root of 3. So see if you can break that out. Try it without your calculator. If you need the calculator, have it there. But I want you to see how the pieces connect. So as we're writing here, for rational numbers, m over n, we're going to define that the m is the power right inside, and that the n is the root. So right here, we're going to evaluate each of the following exponents involving rationals without your calculator to show your work, and then check it in the calculator. So starting here, I can say 16 to the 1/4 power cubed. I'm choosing to do it this way because it's going to make my numbers smaller first. So the fourth root means that it would be groups of 4. So 16 to the 1/4 power would be 2. And then 2 cubed would be 8. Next one, you know what, I'll leave this one for you because I'll come over here and deal with the negatives. We can do that one together. So as I look at it, the negative automatically brings the whole party downstairs. And then I'm going to rewrite it, the 1/3 power squared. So 8 to the 1/3 power, or the cube root of 8, is 2. And then 2 squared is 1/4. All right, so we're going to use the properties now to help us out with this very last one. And I have, looking through x's and y's, and they want to find out the values of the exponent a and b. So going through, everybody seems happy except the y squared. So I'm going to go ahead, rewrite that, and move that up to the numerator, and now it will be happy. Then I'm going to use the rules that if I am multiplying the bases, I'm going to add the exponents. So I would have the 2 plus the 1/2 will be 2.5, or 2.5. So you can put that right up there. And then with the x's, I have a 1 for my first exponent right there, and 3/4 in the bottom. So 1 minus 3/4 would be x to the 1/4. So then if I had to write it in that form, a is 1/4 and b is going to be 2.5. You're going to try the last one. It's in your notes. Now, there are definitely roots there of 3, so that's going to take things. Remember, I'll just show you the numerator here. If I were to have this written back in fractional form, it would be y to the 6th over 3. Okay, and then I can simplify that to y squared. What I want you to do is make your way through the denominator using the rules, okay, and then you can check that. Have a great night.